Hello, I'm Stephanie Copus-Campbell, Australia's new ambassador for gender equality.
Then I gave up and it was too difficult and I cowered it out. And I just don't even really know what to say, you know, I wish that this was me doing a video talking about how it used to be a struggle, but it isn't. It's still a struggle and I struggle with it every day. You know, I have dreams, and in my dreams I am pregnant, or you know, I have my children and everything feels so complete, and then I wake up and it's not true, and it's just really hard. Being a trans woman is very difficult for many reasons.
Yes, welcome back. When you take a look at this man crying here that he cannot get pregnant, sometimes I really wonder when they will stop acting. When I watch this, it's like a script that I've given them to always do this. Totally insane. I have seen a lot of videos surfacing similar to these. Scrolling through Twitter the other day, I realized there is ambassador for gender identity in Australia.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Copus-Campbell, Australia's new ambassador for gender equality. I'm incredibly honoured to take on this role as the lead international advocate for Australia's commitment to gender equality and the human rights of women and girls and persons of diverse gender identities. In this role, I'm committed to listening to those who are dedicated to promoting gender equality and learning about the perspectives and priorities in communities and countries in our region and globally. Promoting gender equality is the right thing to do, but it's also the smart thing to do. It is central to Australia's diplomatic, economic development and regional security, as well as our international engagement. I look forward to working with partners in Australia, in the Pacific, in Southeast Asia and globally to progress the Australian government's priorities to increase women's economic empowerment, women and girls' leadership, and to end sexual and gender-based violence, to improve access to health and education services, and progress the women, peace and security agenda.
This is actually empowering these new genders. This is an ambassador in Australia for gender identity. This is my first time I'm seeing this, and it's going viral on social media. There is a new gender, they say trigender. When I search on Google, this is what I saw. As such, a transgender person defines their gender identity in a third category, which is not situated in between man, woman. Second, transgender can also mean a person who feels that they are a blending of three gender identities. A trans woman is attracted to other self-identity women. So you will see exactly what is happening.
I'm feeling prideful today, so I created an obscenely gay and trans outfit. Hope you like it. Let's get ready together. Also, check out my socks. They're trans socks. As always, start with a hairbrush, some water, and don't forget about curl refresher. There we are, that's much better. Now it's time to add on our tank top and jeans. And here we are! Oh my gosh, this tank top fits like a glove, and the cut of the shoulders makes me feel so masculine. I love it. And just like yesterday, we'll add on our cover top jacket at the end. For a brooch today, I have my pride pin and my trans flag pin. And I went ahead and pinned them right there. For hair today, I'm going to do my hair up in pigtails again, and I'm going to add on a whole bunch of hair clips.
Coming out as a transgender. This is something I have never seen. I consume a lot of work videos daily, but when I search on TikTok, she is the only person that has come out as a transgender. When I say we have a mental problem, you know, in our society, people would say it's a lie. Growing up, I used to see women behave like boys. You know, we call them tomboys, but nowadays it is not happening. They are now transformed. If I'm behaving like a boy, it means identify as this dad.
I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about it. So trigender and the way you identify in it can be very heavily based on your culture and your cultural background. For example, I know in Hawaiian culture, there are 3 genders. There's a third gender. I forget what it's called, I'm sorry, but if you happen to be Native Hawaiian, you could identify as that third gender and then man and woman. Or if you happen to be, from Native Hawaiian background and on the other side you have a different background.
Get into it. This is where she comes out.
I am trigender, which means like a triangle, I have 3 genders: male, female, and non-binary. And the difference between trigender and gender fluid is that I feel all 3 of these genders at the same time. All the time. It doesn't ever shift or change, or where I feel one gender more strongly than the other, like gender fluid tends to be. So how I feel gender-wise is like a man, like a woman, and as neither at the same time. I hope this clears things up.
It did not clear anything up whatsoever. It just made most of the internet very confused and a little taken aback.
What the hell is even that?
What you are describing as trigender and what you feel on a daily basis, that's just the normal human experience.
Yes, we have a problem. Thank you. That is a normal human experience. Like I said at the beginning of the clip, we used to have people that behave, like tomboys, they dress like a man, nothing will change about them. Societal views toward them will be normal. They should respect their values. They should do a lot of things like a woman. They will not go on social media to create their agenda. If I want to count the number of genders that have surfaced between 2019 to now, you will realize, it is more than 2,000. Every person, when you just sit one day, you behave, or you can behave like this. I'm now identified as a dog because I can back. What I realized with some of these woke TikTok videos, it is so fascinating. Somebody behaving like this, I'm now identified as this. I have seen videos where some even crew like, what is happening? Like I usually say, we have a mental issue, with some of these people. Brie Copper mentioned on this clip that she used to behave like a tomboy and it was normal to her.
Special the way you are. Like, for lack of a better word, I don't mean to be cliche and be like, oh my god, you're a special little snowflake princess, but like, we are all unique. That is the very cool part about being human. You do not need to put a label on it and say that you're some kind of new identity. It's incredibly confusing.
It don't make no more sense.
I have seen a lot of stuff on the internet. I mean, I have only been doing this show for 1 year, and yet it still feels...
I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about it. So trigender and the way you identify in it can be very heavily based on your culture and your cultural background. For example, I know in Hawaiian culture, there are 3 genders. There's a third gender. I forget what it's called, I'm sorry, but if you happen to be Native Hawaiian, you could identify as that third gender and then man and woman. Or if you happen to be, from Native Hawaiian background and on the other side you have a different background that also has a third gender, you can identify as those 2 non-binary genders. And then take your pick if you want man or woman or not even another non-binary gender. But all in all, it comes from your cultural background. So for me, I come from a very heavy Dutch background and American background. So for me, it's more based on if there's man on one side, woman on the other, and non-binary is somewhere in the middle, and then I take up that whole area, the whole bar there. And I know for a lot of people, non-binary is a completely separate spectrum, and that's just not my experience, but I still think that that's a valid experience to have. It all depends on your experiences and your personal history, I hope this answers your question. Let me know if you have any more questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. Oh, I think I forgot to mention, for those of you who are newer here or just don't know, I identify as trigender. This is my trans identity. And I am a man, a woman, and non-binary. So, take that bar again, man, woman, non-binary. I just take up the whole bar. And it's different from gender fluid because the The gender identity never changes or shifts where one gender identity is stronger than the other or anything like that, you know? I'm very happy to talk about this stuff, so please don't feel like any of your questions are too weird or anything like that for me. But of course, do try to phrase them in the politest way you can. Alright, with that, I will see you soon. Bye!
Yes, and she is popular. She has gone viral. A lot of people are talking about her because she's a lone person that has come out as a transgender. Hmm? This is something that is disturbing. Some do this to go viral and it's working for them. Like we have seen the case of Dylan came out as trans and he's making a lot of money through this method. Now this one is being invited in some podcasts, where they interview her to really explain, what is going on with her. But the normal explanations, like you heard here, those are normal human experience, things we used to see daily. But they will tempt it or they will transform, into a gender. I don't actually know where this idea of gender is coming from. Extremely disturbing. Like I saw a clip few days ago where there is an ambassador for gender identity in Australia. I will do a full segment on this, tomorrow to actually give you brief explanations about this ambassador. It is actually sad that this Western world is embracing these ideas like never before. And I pray some of these people they should rethink about some of these things.